Arwen, is that you? Nora called, her voice echoing through the infirmary's hallway. You're late. Mr. Doyle's gangrene is getting worse. He might lose the finger. Lose my what? A male voice squawked from behind a curtain. I shot Nora a withering look and slipped inside the makeshift room separated by cotton sheets. Bleeding stones. Mr. Doyle, an elderly bald man who was all forehead and earlobes, was in his bed, cradling his damaged hand like a stolen dessert that someone aimed to take from him. Nora's only kidding, I said, pulling up a chair. That's her fun and very professional sense of humor. I'll make sure all fingers remain attached, I promise. With a skeptical huff, Mr. Doyle relinquished his hand, and I got to work carefully peeling away the layers of rotting skin. My ability twitched at my fingertips, eager to help. I wasn't sure I needed it today. I liked the meticulous work, and gangrene was fairly routine. But I would never forgive myself if I broke my promise to cranky Mr. Doyle. I covered one hand with the other, as if I didn't want him to see how gruesome his injury was. I had gotten very good at finding ways to sneak my powers into patients. Mr. Doyle closed his eyes and leaned his head back, and I allowed a flicker of pure light to seep from my fingers like juice from a lemon. The decaying flesh warmed and blushed pink once more, healing before my eyes. I was a good healer. I had a steady hand, was calm under pressure, and never got squeamish at the sight of someone's insides. But I could also heal in ways that couldn't be taught. My power was a pulsing, erratic light that poured out of my hands and seeped into others, spreading through their veins and vessels. I could fuse a broken bone, give color back to a flu-ravaged face, or stitch a gash closed, with no needle. But it wasn't common witchcraft. I had no witches or warlocks in my family heritage, and even if I had, when I used my powers, there was no uttered spell followed by a flurry of wind and static. Instead, my gift seeped from my body, draining my energy and mind each time. Witches could do endless magic, with the right grimoires and tutelage. My abilities would fizzle out if worked too hard, leaving me depleted. Sometimes it could even take days for the power to come back fully. The first time I exhausted myself on a particularly brutal burn victim, I thought my gift was actually gone for good, leaving me with an inexplicable mix of relief and horror. When it finally returned, I told myself I was grateful. Grateful that when I was growing up and was covered in welts or had limbs cracked at odd angles, I could heal myself before my mother or siblings could notice what my stepfather had done. Grateful that I could help those around me who were suffering. And grateful that I could make a decent amount of coin doing it, when times were as tough as they were now. All right, Mr. Doyle, good as new. The older man shot me a toothless grin. Thank you, he said, before leaning in conspiratorially. I didn't think you'd be able to save it. The lack of faith hurts, I joked. He moved gingerly out of the room, and I followed him into the hall. Once he was through the front doors, Nora shook her head at me. What? Too chipper, she said, but her mouth lifted in a smile. It's a relief to have a patient who isn't on death's door. I cringed. Mr. Doyle was actually quite old. Nora just snorted and refocused on the gauze in her hands. I slunk back over to the cots and busied myself sanitizing some surgical tools. I should have been thrilled with how few patients we had today, but the quiet was making my stomach twist.